Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to talk today about the feeling of stuckness because I think a lot of people have gone through this period where they have felt stuck in their life. I know I certainly have gone through this period in my own life, and I've come to recognize and understand a few things about the whole idea of stuckness since moving through this process. So I wanted to talk today about 10 real reasons why you would feel stuck in your life. And this could be feeling stuck in any or all areas of your life. And I'm also going to talk about 10 ways to get unstuck or to get yourself out of that feeling of stuckness. So stick around till the end and let's get through it. So first of all, let's talk about what stuckness is and how we perceive stuckness, just in general as a society. So stuckness is essentially a divine pause. Okay, so it's God slowing you down and removing distractions from your life. That could be toxic people, it could be situations, work, all kinds of different things that are actually distracting you from getting to where you're supposed to be or getting back on track within your life. This is done, this sort of stuckness or this removal is done so that you can tune into and realign yourself with your true self. Stuckness is also a phase of shedding your old self to make space and to uncover your new self. It is a stillness that appears to be stagnation, but it's actually an internal recalibration. These are all things that I've gone through myself, so I know and I understand what stuckness is now. And that period of time in my life where I did feel extremely stuck was actually nothing more than stillness. I have now cultivated gratitude for that stillness that I couldn't at the time perceive as stillness, because I was still perceiving it as stuckness. So let's look at those 10 real reasons that you actually feel stuck. So they're not in any particular order, but the first one I wrote down was that you don't trust yourself. And this is a huge one, like a really, really huge one. And that's why I started the list with this one. There's a fundamental lack of trust in your decisions and the choices that you make on a regular basis. This is usually because of past mistakes and the consequences of those mistakes that you have made in the past. So we often don't feel like we make good choices or decisions for ourselves. And then that actually causes a huge amount of stagnation within our energy field. Number two, you don't trust your ability to change your own life. And think of your life for a moment and think about how many times you didn't trust yourself to have that ability, to really have the strength within you to change things that you knew required and needed changing within your life. Number three, you feel powerless to make changes. So, it's one thing to know that you need to make changes and know that you're stagnant or you're stuck because you need to make changes. But it's another thing when you feel powerless to make those changes. And if you're feeling powerless, then you're not going to act. You're not going to take those steps that you know you need to take. This is usually actually from feeling unworthy to receive all of the good things that would come as a result of making those changes that you know you need to make. Number four, you don't believe in God or that a higher power is guiding your life. Now, for this one, I'm going to just kind of make a little adjustment here and say, I know lots and lots of people who believe in God, but don't actually believe in the guidance or don't believe that they're guided by God in any particular way. So now if you are someone that believes in God, but doesn't necessarily believe that you are being guided by God in a very specific way, then you need to ask yourself what within you has this discrepancy, what within you is believing in this contradiction, because to believe in God, but to not fully believe that you're being guided is is a controversy, right? It's a contradiction within yourself. And oftentimes, I think people believe in God but don't believe in the guidance because they just don't fully trust that guidance, or perhaps they feel like they haven't had any experiences that have sort of been evidence that they are being guided, or even if they have had evidence that they're being guided, their their connection to God is truly not deep. Um, it's sort of surface level, and they certainly don't practice certain things that are going to deepen that connection. And that's why there's this contradiction where, yeah, they believe in God, but they don't communicate with God, and certainly don't tune in and listen to be able to really hear that guidance and to be able to move forward. So, number 5, you don't believe that God has a plan for you, and therefore you're not tuning in regularly to hear the plan and the guidance to execute it, which is something similar to what I just said. So, if you're not doing those things, then you're not going to strengthen that faith um, within yourself or within God, right? And you're not going to make that connection that your stuckness actually has very much to do with a lack of faith. You're not truly believing that there is a higher power guiding your life. So that's something to really look at and think about and feel into within yourself, and ask yourself, where did these beliefs come from? Were they passed down to me? Were they somebody else's beliefs that I just sort of took on? Or are these truly my beliefs? And if so, then how can I change them or shift them into a more positive belief system that actually does serve me, that feels more in alignment with my heart and my soul? So, number 6, you don't believe in miracles and destiny. I talk to a lot of people who believe in God, or they tell me that they believe in God, but they don't really truly believe in miracles or destiny. They don't embody that belief. Because again, you can say that you believe in miracles and destiny, but do you embody that belief? And what do I mean by saying that? To embody the belief is to really truly look at small things with awe. It's to really revel in the energy that sunlight gives, that just the energy of the planet itself gives. I mean, that in itself is a miracle. The existence of our world, the existence of our natural world, and the way that it functions in itself is a miracle. The way the grass grows every year, and how it just knows to grow every spring, and how the trees just know to blossom every spring. And they go through their cycles, and they just do this. That in itself, to me, is a miracle. And the observation of that is really truly the embodiment of the belief itself. When you're able to observe it and really take it in and truly appreciate it, and recognize that it's a miracle when a child is born through their mother, that little tiny cells can form into a full human being. These are all miracles of life. And when we see them as such, we can truly embody the belief of miracles and destiny. So, number 7, you believe in stuckness and perceive it to be a negative thing, meaning you think that by standing still, you are not progressing forward on your journey, but you are. And that's actually one of the biggest issues for a lot of people, is that they just simply believe in stuckness, and they think that stuckness or that stillness is a negative thing. So it's all about how you look at it. So look at your own life right now, and look at the areas of your life that are stuck, and now try to look at it from this new perspective of, okay, this isn't stuckness, this is stillness. This is a pause, a divine pause, and the universe wants me to really look at something um, at a deeper level. And that's why I needed to sort of stagnate or stall or be still, actually. Number 8, you believe that change is hard. Therefore, you shy away from making necessary changes in your life. Huge issue. I see this for a lot of people, something that I've personally struggled with myself. It was definitely, I had a belief that change was hard. And I think a lot of people are afraid of change because they feel like change is scary, it's difficult, it's going to bring challenges, it's going to bring the unknown. I find one of the biggest things most people are afraid of is the unknown. It was something that I was actually really afraid of before, where now I can wholeheartedly embrace the unknown because I know that the unknown is actually just expansiveness. It is an openness. It is an opportunity for newness, for new experiences, for new people, for new work, for new everything to come into my life. So reevaluate how you perceive your stuckness and in what areas of your life you currently feel stuck in, and look at it from these brand new perspectives, that it truly is just stillness. It is a pause so that you can reevaluate everything that you have currently experienced, where you currently are, and then where you want to move to and head towards. And just know that the unknown is very expansive and full of opportunity and full of all kinds of really great things. It's not filled with scary things like we believe, or like I feel society believes it to be. So that's actually number 8. I didn't write any more. So I'm going to have to retitle this video, sorry guys, to 8 real reasons that you feel stuck. And let's move into 10 ways of getting unstuck. So I compiled this list 100% based on my personal experience of how I have become unstuck and how I have healed. And actually, you know what, as another point, healing is a huge part of stuckness. So you don't get unstuck without healing. Healing is a massive part of it. And that shedding process that I talked about before, that's what stuckness really is. That is where we are pushed towards. To get ourselves unstuck, we must heal. We must go through a transformation. We must go through a period of silence and stillness and reflection, so that we can see things that need to be seen within ourselves that perhaps our busy lives didn't allow for us to see before. That is the way to move forward and to heal, is to look at those things that were uncomfortable to look at, or that perhaps we didn't want to look at, or things that we shoved down for a really, really long time. So now let's get into the 10 ways of getting unstuck. So number 1 is shift your mindset around the concept of stuckness and look at it as an opportunity to course correct, because that stillness gives you that opportunity. And if you actually don't take time for that stillness, then you're just going to keep buzzing and moving through life and keeping yourself busy. And really, that's just avoidance. You're going to keep avoiding doing the work and looking at what needs change. So ask yourself at this time, where do I need to course correct? What part of my life needs course correction in order to bring myself back into balance? Because stuckness is also very indicative of a lack of balance within our lives, right? So think about that for a moment. Number 2 to getting unstuck, embrace acceptance. So accept that it's a nudge from the universe to change things in your life, because some things are no longer working for you, no longer serving you, and therefore need to be shed from your life. So if you can embrace acceptance and really just accept that it's not a negative thing to be stuck or to feel stuck, it is simply the universe's way of slowing you down, then I think you're going to ride through it, and it's not going to feel painful. It's not going to feel like it's dragging out. It's not going to feel like it's difficult. It's just simply going to flow. You're going to start to flow with this slowing down, with this pausing. You're going to start to flow with the order of the universe, and you're going to start to align yourself to the things that you really need to harmonize within your life. So that's another important part of it. Number 3, start making changes in small, doable steps that work for you. This was huge for me. This was actually such a game changer. The more little steps I took, the more manageable the change became, because when I first started to make changes in my life, it really felt like a huge, daunting task. It was intimidating. It was scary. It was overwhelming. It was, God, everything rolled into one. And it was hard. It was just really, really hard to make those changes. But as soon as I took any big thing that I wanted to change in my life and just broke it down to sort of little bite-sized pieces for myself, I was right away able to start making changes, start progressing forward, start moving in the direction of that shift that I wanted to make in my life. But it really took breaking it down into small, doable actions, because when you try to make big changes all at once, we often are not successful at doing that. And the reason why is because we get extremely overwhelmed. When we're habitual beings, when you're doing the same thing over and over, day in and day out for a long time, it can be quite quite the direction change, for you to all of a sudden try and do something different. And it's going to feel really uncomfortable, very foreign, and really challenging. And there's going to be less willingness on your part to do it because it feels so challenging. And it feels like it's going to it can feel like it's going to take a lot out of you. And it can take a lot out of you, actually, if you've been really used to doing things a certain way and then decide you want to start doing something new. So if you make gradual changes, though, towards that thing that you want to accomplish, then and break it down into daily doable steps and doable actions, then all of those little steps will eventually add into one big result, right? And so I'm doing this personally with my health. Like, for example, regaining health, look at your diet and figure out what you're not eating enough of and what you consume too much of. This is something that I'm actually currently doing right now. My body's just been really freaking out lately as I've been going through the ascension process, and it's been just kind of screaming at me more and more to reduce inflammation, to clear things and purge and detox. And I wanted to kind of just dive right into like doing this big, huge 3-month detox. And then I was like, oh my God, it just kind of overwhelmed me. Even like the thought or the idea of doing that was extremely overwhelming. So I decided, you know what, how about if I just started to make small changes? So for example, to correct my digestion, I started to drink apple cider vinegar every morning on an empty stomach. And it's like my new routine. So I do this every morning now, where I'm having my apple cider vinegar instead of coffee. And, I'm not far into it, but I've already noticed changes. I'm already noticing my digestion improving and just feeling better overall. I'm noticing like it's clearing my skin, and a lot of different things are really shifting in my body as a result, and then adding more greens to my diet and just making those small changes on a daily basis has made a huge impact. It's really taking hold, and I'm finding it easier to do, and I'm beginning to be more and more excited to do them because I just feel the benefits. I really notice how much it's supporting and helping me. So, and just keep in mind, guys, when it comes to your health, that it really is 2 things that cause any kind of disease in the body. And what is disease? It is dis-ease, right? It means, what is dis-ease? It is disharmony within the physicality, right? And what causes that? Like, it's always too much of something in the body. So usually like too much inflammation, too many pathogens, excessive weight, too much toxins. Those are all actually, too much weight is a result of too much toxins. So it's always too much of something in the body or not enough of something in the body. And if it's not enough, then those not enough things are usually vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, and all the good stuff that our body needs to function normally and healthy in this world. So keep that in mind when it comes to health. Number 4, stay consistent with the small changes and do them daily. Many small actions add up to big results. Consistency is key, absolute key. And that is something I also noticed within my life, that the more consistent I became, with my work, with those healthy daily habits, with, eating well or eating better, or with exercise, the more consistent I become, the more momentum that activity gains, and the more I'm actually pushing forward. And it starts to become, at first it's like, it feels like work, and then it starts to feel easier and easier until it becomes completely second nature and normal, and you actually start to crave doing those actions or activities, and you actually really miss them when you don't do them. So lots of small actions lead to huge momentum and actually build momentum to get you to that goal that you had set out for yourself. Number 5, and this is an important one. Don't be hard on yourself when you fall off track. Something I used to do often, and now I'm recognizing that it's really unhealthy to do that, and it's not normal to do that, actually. Being hard on yourself when you fall off track is normal, or falling off track is normal, but being hard on yourself for it is completely abnormal, because that's almost like saying to a toddler, or to a baby that doesn't know how to walk yet, like, why don't you know how to walk? It's absurd, right? Of course, because when we're doing anything new, and when we're changing our lives and getting ourselves unstuck, that requires a lot of new action, things that we haven't done before. And when a new action is first initiated or started in our lives, it isn't second nature yet, because it's new. Just like it isn't second nature completely for a child to walk. It's a new thing. First they crawl, and first they hang on to things and do that, and require support in order to be able to stand up and actually stand on their own 2 feet, right? So it's the same thing with us, with adults. When it comes to implementing new actions, it takes time for you to be able to, first you have to crawl, first you have to start small, and you work your way up. So don't be hard on yourself when you do fall off track. And the best thing that I do now when I fall off track, or I feel like I'm falling off track, is I just remind myself, like, this isn't where I want to be. I know where my track is because I've been on it, and I'm just going to work my way back there. And depending on how far you have fallen off your track, you're going to either have an easy time to get back on, or it's going to take a little bit of work to get yourself back into that alignment. But just know that you always can get yourself back on track and get yourself back into alignment. And it's okay. It doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as you have this intention within you to get back on track, you're going to do that and you're going to make it. So it just doesn't make sense for us to be hard on ourselves. It's more about awareness and recognizing that you can always just find the track and align and get back on. Number 6 is don't set 3 goals you want to accomplish and give yourself a deadline to do it by. This can be completely unrelated goals, or they can be related goals, but definitely give yourself a deadline. I find the deadline just sort of pushes me to keep going. It reminds me that there's like an expiry to this, like there's a certain timeline by which I want to accomplish that goal. That way you're holding yourself accountable, you're holding yourself responsible to actually do the work to accomplish those goals. I find it's really, really important. Deadlines are really, really important. Because in the past I didn't have deadlines for certain things. I was just like, well, I'd really like to lose some weight. Okay, but like I didn't have a certain timeline in mind. It was just like, well, one day I'll get there. But then the one day kind of never comes, because now there's no pressure. So I'll give myself like maybe a special event or something specific to like work towards. Okay, like by this time, I want to lose X amount of pounds or whatever, or X amount of sizes, and that kind of keeps me motivated to keep going to actually get there. Be open. Number 7 is be open and willing to learn new things and new skills that will help you accomplish your goals. This will greatly make you feel capable of actually reaching the goal. So, without learning, without expanding your knowledge base, without expanding your skill base, we often will definitely feel stuck and stagnant. Like you're just not going to feel like you can progress forward. And the reason why is because, you reach a certain plateau within yourself of what you know, right? And if you don't grow your knowledge, or if you don't gain new knowledge on new things, on different ways of doing things, then you're going to stay stuck. You're going to stay stagnant. But as soon as you start opening your mind up to taking in new information and learning new skills, or giving yourself that opportunity to even try new skills, until you do that, you're not going to know whether you can accomplish that goal or not. And without the learning, you're not going to accomplish it. Because I find for myself, everything, like the complete career change that I made that career change knowing full well that I had to gain a bunch of knowledge. And I've spent, to be honest, years actually learning and researching and implementing the things that I have learned in order to, create this YouTube channel, in order to completely put my life on a new trajectory. I had to learn. I had no choice. But at the same time, I chose to learn. But it's like my circumstances. When I say I had no choice, I say that because my circumstances like kind of forced me and pushed me into learning and gaining new skills. So, which I actually am very grateful for. I'm glad that happened for me, because now I'm so much more confident. I have so much more authority within myself because I know how to do things that I didn't know how to do before. So, number 8, pray and meditate daily. So, what is prayer and what is meditation? Prayer, I've mentioned this in a previous video, is talking to God, is when you are communicating to God your wants, your wishes, your desires, whatever, or you're asking for help or support. And meditation is the act of listening to God. So when you are meditating, you are actually tuning in to hear your divine creator's voice, to hear guidance, to hear problem-solving information, right? That's what meditation is. So if you don't take any time to silence your mind, the ego will just keep going and will keep chattering and will keep repeating the same sentences to you, right? Usually that connect to negative things like lack of worthiness, and just your ego will always try to convince you you're not good enough or whatever else, right? But when you meditate, you really allow God to come through to guide you and show you new possibilities that your ego self would have never seen and would never have come up with. So the need for prayer and for meditation, I find, is huge. It's really, really important. It has been absolutely life-changing for me, and it is something that I am so much more consistent with now than I ever was before. Like, I never used to meditate, like in my 20s, even in my early 30s. Like, I really never used to meditate. I didn't see the importance of it. I didn't see the relevance of it. But now I do. I recognize, because there's so much guidance that comes through and so much information, that it's like, I need to know. I want to know what God has to say, right? I don't just want to talk to God, but I want to hear God too. So, and just with prayer and meditation, like, I'm really going to suggest, guys, just keep it simple. Keep it very, very simple. When you're talking to God, talk to God, like just like you were talking to a friend. It doesn't have to be a formal prayer or anything like that. And when you're listening to God, then just listen with an open heart and an open mind, and just push out sort of all distractions and thoughts, and just really allow the messages to come through. Number 9 is trust in yourself and God's plan for you. Trust in the guidance you receive and follow through on your ideas, which I wrote here, aka downloads. Ideas are actually downloads, usually from spirit. No matter how crazy your ego will judge it to be. And this one's important too, because I know a lot of people in my life at the time, several years ago, when I talked about making changes and becoming a full-time YouTuber and leaving my massage therapy career of 17 years, everyone kind of was like, are you crazy? And they didn't really have faith in it. They didn't really trust it. They really thought like I was just off my rocker. And, I knew within myself and within my heart that it was God's will, that it was guidance. I know because so many things were taken out of my life at that time that, I really had no choice but to move in a brand new direction. And it's like, I knew that I had to move in this direction, no matter how scared I was to do it, no matter how unprepared I felt for it. I just knew I had to do it. So it's really, really important that you actually listen to yourself and you listen to your own guidance and don't worry about what other people are saying. And if you feel really super compelled to go in a certain direction, then go in that direction because you're meant to go in that direction. And we have to trust God's plan. It's so much bigger than us. And oftentimes we just don't see, that far ahead the way God already knows what they have in store for us, right? We don't see that. So keep that in mind that God's plan is bigger. You're not always going to get the full picture. You're not always going to know. As a matter of fact, in most cases, most people don't know what God's plan is for them. But the more you tune in, the more you listen, you will start to understand what God's plan is for you, and you will connect to that, and you're going to start taking action steps to move in that direction. And number 10 is use your God-given talents to move forward in your life and remind yourself that what you are good at naturally is usually the direction you are meant to go. So this was another one that took me a moment to kind of grasp, but I always knew like I had this calling within me and an understanding within me that, I was meant to speak and to coach others. This was just a natural skill for me. It was something that came super easy. It really wasn't something I had to strain or work hard at. And I also knew that I was highly connected to spirit and that spirit uses me as a vessel to communicate to others and to guide others. But, even still, I ended up doing massage therapy for 17 years because I didn't fully trust that. I didn't feel ready for that path until one day I did. And I just feel so incredibly blessed that that day came for me and that I was able to really connect to my gift and my ability to channel messages for people and my intuition. Like I just know things about people that I have just met that I shouldn't know, right? And even people that they're connected to. So my psychic and my intuitive abilities have really been my guidance system. They've really been the thing that has been propelling me forward to pursue this and to keep going on this journey and this path, even though even though I didn't fully know how it was going to unfold for me. And I still don't fully know how all of this is going to unfold for me in the future. I just know that for right now, this is what I'm meant to do, and this is what I'm supposed to do, and I'm supposed to coach others and help others, and I'm supposed to use my intuition and my psychic abilities to channel God and to deliver messages to people that really need to hear, those types of messages and really need to hear the right kind of guidance for them in any given moment. Most people try to solve their issues through logic and through the mind, where I encourage people to resolve issues in their life through spirit and through their higher self. So that's the perspective that I bring into every single situation that I encounter with anyone when I'm coaching a client. So it's, you have a gift. What is your gift? Tune into that gift, figure it out. And when you do, you're going to know. You're just going to have this innate knowing within you that that is the right path for you. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have to work at things to perhaps make that a career, or, make that something that you can actually earn a living from, but it's still the path that's meant for you. So don't be afraid of the work. Don't be afraid of what you have to invest, in terms of time or money or education or whatever, to be able to really fulfill that calling within you. So remind yourselves that you are not stuck. You are simply pausing. It is a divine pause, and that Spirit has big plans for you. And Spirit also really wants you to pay attention to how you have been living up until this point and make some big changes. But you make those big changes by breaking them down into smaller, doable steps so that you can actually get there. So I hope this video was helpful for you, and I hope that you have a different perspective about stuckness and can now feel more free within yourself to move forward. Thank you so much for watching, for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing to the channel and supporting this community to keep growing. I'm so incredibly thankful, actually, to have so many beautiful comments. I read the comments all the time, guys, and I really, really appreciate you guys. Like 99.9% of the time, leave me really positive, beautiful comments. So I'm just truly grateful for that. And I hope to continue guiding you and supporting you in whatever way I can. Definitely drop comments below if you have suggestions or ideas, things that you would like me to talk about. I'm always open to hearing those, and I really want to support you guys in whatever way you feel you need support. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.